You find yourself standing in a place the world has forgotten, a sliver of stillness tucked away from the hum and hurry of the city. The air here is different. It is soft and warm, carrying the scent of sun-baked dust, a whisper of distant jasmine, and the faint mineral tang of ancient stone. The light of a late afternoon sun slants low across the sky, a river of liquid gold that washes over everything, making the mundane glow with a quiet and sacred intensity. You can feel its warmth on your skin, a gentle pressure that seems to soothe the very marrow of your bones, slowing your thoughts, easing the rhythm of your heart. Before you, there is a laneway, narrow and untrodden, its surface a mosaic of cracked earth and hardy, pale green weeds that have pushed their way toward the light. The walls on either side are old, their plaster crumbling to reveal the honey-colored stone beneath, and they seem to absorb the day's heat, radiating a gentle warmth back into the narrow space. There is a sound, but it is the sound of absence, the deep and resonant silence that falls when the noise of the world finally recedes. Into this silence, a single delicate thread of sound is woven, the low, contented buzz of a bee as it moves lazily from one small purple wildflower to another, a tiny, industrious life unfolding in a vast and quiet world. You follow its meandering flight with your eyes, and as it drifts away over the top of the wall, your gaze is drawn to what lies at the end of the lane. It is an archway, not a triumphal arch, grand and imposing, built to commemorate victories and power, but something far older, humbler, and more profound. It is a simple gate, carved from a single, massive piece of pale marble that has been worn smooth and soft by the caress of centuries. The light catches its surface, not with a sharp glare, but with a gentle, milky luminescence, as if the stone itself holds a memory of all the sunrises and sunsets it has witnessed. To the side of the archway, almost hidden in the shadows, is a small stone channel carved into the ground. A tiny, almost imperceptible trickle of water makes its way along the channel, a silver thread moving through the dust. You have to lean close to even hear it, a faint, liquid whisper, a continuous cooling murmur that speaks of a hidden source, a secret life deep within the earth. The sound is an invitation, a promise of coolness and quiet on the other side. It is the faintest of music, a lullaby for a world grown tired and loud. You pause here, at the edge of this forgotten place, feeling the warm air on your face and listening to the whisper of the water. This is a threshold, a place between two worlds, the one you have left behind and the one that waits, patient and still, just beyond the stone. It is a boundary not of geography, but of awareness. And here, in the quiet, you find your breath. You feel it enter, cool and clean, and leave, warm and slow. A simple, steady rhythm, the anchor of the present moment. You take a slow step forward, your shoes making a soft, shuffling sound in the dust of the lane. The air seems to grow even quieter as you approach the archway, the world narrowing its focus until only this stone and the opening it holds seem to exist. As you draw near, you can see the details that distance had concealed. The surface of the marble is a landscape of its own, a map carved by wind and rain and time. There are fine, spidery veins of a darker gray running through the luminous white, and patches where the stone is dappled with the pale, velvety green of ancient moss, which thrives in the shaded hollows. The scale of it is human. You can imagine the hands that cut this stone, the shoulders that lifted it into place. There is a sense of purpose here, but it is a gentle purpose, to mark a transition, to create an entrance, to welcome. You reach out a hand, drawn to the texture of the stone. The surface that is bathed in the afternoon sun is surprisingly warm, holding the day's heat like a living thing. Your fingertips trace the smooth, polished curve of the inner arch, a surface that has been worn to a silken finish by the touch of countless hands and the brush of passing shoulders over millennia. It feels solid, eternal, a point of stability in a flowing world. Then you let your fingers drift into the shade, into a deeper crevice carved by some long-ago mason. Here, the stone is cool, carrying the deep, patient coolness of the earth. It is a profound contrast, this warmth and this coolness, held together in a single piece of rock. You feel the history in that touch. You can almost feel the presence of all those who have passed this way before you, their hands trailing along this very same curve. You feel the faint, spectral touch of the farmer returning from the fields, the scholar seeking a place of quiet contemplation, the child chasing a friend through the gate in a moment of carefree joy. They are gone, their lives a mere whisper in the long story of this stone, but their passage has left a trace, a smoothness, a hallowing of the space. Your eyes scan the surface of the arch, and they settle upon a single tiny detail, a micro-story embedded in the larger narrative of the stone. Near the base, just above the ground, is a single character, a letter from an alphabet long since fallen out of common use. It is so faint that in any other light, it would be invisible. But in this slanted golden glow, its shallow grooves hold the faintest of shadows, giving it a fleeting, ghostly presence. You kneel down to see it more clearly, the warmth of the dusty ground seeping through the fabric of your clothes. The letter is a simple, elegant shape, perhaps a beta or a delta, its lines still showing the careful intention of the hand that carved it. The edges are softened, rounded by the slow, abrasive kiss of the wind. The stone around it pitted and weathered, but the letter remains. You trace its outline with your finger, feeling the slight depression in the stone. It is a connection, a direct line to a single moment in the distant past. Who carved this? Was it a mason, leaving his mark on his work? Was it a teacher demonstrating a letter to a student? Or was it someone simply waiting, passing the time by scratching a symbol of their own existence into the enduring stone? The question hangs in the quiet air, unanswered and unanswerable. And the lack of an answer is its own kind of peace. The letter is not a monument or a proclamation. It is a quiet, anonymous act, a small assertion of, "I was here," that has outlasted empires and ideologies. It is a testament to the simple human need to leave a mark, however small, on the fabric of the world. And as you contemplate this single, faded letter, you feel a profound sense of continuity, of being part of a long, unbroken chain of human experience. The anxieties and ambitions of that long-ago hand have dissolved into dust, but this simple shape remains, a quiet greeting across the gulf of ages. You stay there for a time, simply observing this small detail, letting the immense scale of time wash over you. The sun continues its slow descent, and the shadows lengthen. The gold of the light deepens into a warmer, more amber hue. The world feels as if it is holding its breath. Rising slowly, you turn your attention back to the archway as a whole. You look up through the opening and see the sky. The stone of the arch acts as a frame, cropping the vast, infinite expanse of the heavens into a single, perfect rectangle of deepening blue. The distractions of the surrounding world, the distant rooftops, the modern wires are all edited out. There is only the ancient weathered stone and the timeless, endless sky. It is a deliberate act of focusing, an invitation to look up and contemplate the infinite, framed by the finite and the human. A gentle breeze, which you hadn't noticed before, now stirs, and as it passes through the archway, its sound changes. Out in the lane, it was a formless whisper, but as it funnels through the stone passage, it becomes a soft, melodic sigh, a voice that seems to speak in a language older than words. It is the breath of the place, and it seems to be whispering, "Come, pass through. Leave the noise behind. Enter the quiet." And so, you do. You take a final look back at the sunlit lane, and then you step forward, under the massive stone lintel. For the 2 or 3 steps that you are within the passage of the arch, the world changes. The light becomes dim, indirect. The air is cooler, smelling more intensely of stone and damp earth. The sound of the wind becomes more intimate, a close murmur in your ears. It is a moment of pure transition, a brief, dreamlike passage from one state of being to another. You feel the immense weight of the stone above you, a comforting, protective presence. And then you emerge. You step out onto the other side, and the world opens up again, but it is a different world from the one you left behind. The light is the same golden light, but it seems softer here. The silence is the same silence, but it feels deeper, more ancient. You have crossed the threshold. The stillness deepens, and your breath follows. It feels slower now, more measured, as if it is syncing itself to the ancient, unhurried rhythm of this place. Before you, a path begins. It is not a grand, paved avenue, but a simple, humble track of beaten earth and small, pale, rounded stones. It leads away from the archway, curving gently out of sight behind a stand of dark green cypress trees. The path is not wide. It is a space for one person to walk comfortably, an invitation to a solitary journey. Its edges are not sharply defined, but blur softly into the surrounding landscape of wild grasses and low-growing, silvery herbs. The most beautiful thing about the path is the way it is worn. Down its center runs a shallow, gentle depression, a groove polished, smooth by the passage of countless feet. This path was not built by design, not laid down by architects with plans and measures. It was created by the simple, repeated act of walking. It is a line of intention, drawn across the land by generations of people who were all going somewhere with a quiet purpose. You take your first step onto the path, and you become aware of a new set of sensations. The primary one is sound. Your feet make a soft, rhythmic crunching sound on the small pebbles and dry earth. It is a grounding sound, a quiet, percussive beat that marks your slow progress through the stillness. It is the only sound that you are making, and it seems to magnify the silence that surrounds it. You pause for a moment and just listen. You hear the whisper of the breeze moving through the tall, dry grasses that line the path. You hear the distant, almost imaginary sigh of the wind in the cypress trees. And underneath it all, you hear the quiet, steady rhythm of your own breathing. You are a part of this landscape now, your presence announced by the gentle sound of your footsteps and the soft cadence of your breath. You begin to walk, your pace naturally slowing to match the unhurried atmosphere of the place. The path feels firm and gentle beneath your feet. The small stones are not sharp or uncomfortable. They have been rounded and smoothed by the friction of sandals and the washing of rain over untold seasons. You let your gaze soften, taking in the world at the edges of the path. Here, life persists, in its most humble and tenacious forms. Small, hardy herbs with tiny purple flowers grow in resilient clusters. You can see wild thyme, its leaves a dusty gray-green, and you know that if you were to crush a leaf between your fingers, it would release a sharp, clean, medicinal fragrance, the scent of this dry and sun-drenched land. There are little yellow wildflowers, no bigger than your thumbnail, that turn their faces to the warmth of the setting sun. Nothing here is dramatic or ostentatious. It is all simple, small, and beautiful. As you walk, you allow your imagination to gently populate the path. You don't see ghosts or specters, but rather the faint, shimmering impressions of those who wore this groove into the earth. You can almost feel the steady, unhurried tread of a philosopher, his hands clasped behind his back, his head bowed in thought, walking this path to find a quiet place to unravel the mysteries of the cosmos. You can imagine a woman, her clay jug balanced gracefully on her head, walking this path to the hidden spring, her steps sure and rhythmic. A moving meditation. You can see two friends, walking side by side where the path widens slightly, their conversation a low and gentle murmur that does not disturb the peace. Their words long since dissolved into the air, but the feeling of their companionship somehow lingering. You imagine the bare feet of children, running along this path, their laughter echoing for a moment before fading, their energy absorbed by the patient earth. They were not trying to make a path. They were just living, and their living created this way forward. There is a profound reflection in this. The most enduring things are often not those we build with great effort and noise, but those that emerge naturally from the steady, quiet rhythm of our daily lives. The path begins to curve, a long, slow arc to the right. This gentle curve is a masterful stroke of natural design. It means you can never see too far ahead. The destination remains a mystery, encouraging you to focus on the journey itself, on each step, on the feel of the ground beneath your feet, and the quality of the light filtering through the air. You are being led, but you are not being hurried. With each step, you feel the concerns of the outside world slipping further and further away. Your thoughts, which may have been racing before, begin to settle, like dust motes in a still room. The constant, low-level hum of modern anxiety begins to fade, replaced by a simple, profound sense of presence. You are just here, walking on an ancient path under an ancient sky. Nothing is asked of you. You do not need to be anywhere else. You do not need to be anyone else. Halfway along the curve, you notice a large, flat stone resting at the side of the path, half submerged in the wild grass. It looks like a natural place to pause. You move towards it and sit down, the stone still warm from the long hours of sunlight. From this lower vantage point, the world looks different. You are closer to the small lives of the herbs and insects. You notice a line of ants marching purposefully along a crack in the rock. You see a tiny, iridescent beetle making its slow way up a blade of grass. You are simply sitting, observing, without judgment or interpretation. This is a moment of pure sensory reality, a pause in the imaginative journey through time. There is only the warmth of the stone, the sight of the swaying grasses, the sound of the wind, and the feeling of the calm air on your skin. You feel the ancient calm, and you breathe with it, in and out. The world is right here, in this very moment. It is enough. After a time, you rise and continue your journey. The path straightens again, and as you come around the stand of cypress trees, a new vista opens up before you. The path leads into a grove of olive trees. The change in atmosphere is immediate and profound. You step from the open, sun-drenched space of the path into a world of dappled light and cool, silvery shade. The air is suddenly cooler by several degrees, a welcome relief, and the scent changes completely. It is the unique, inimitable fragrance of an old olive grove, the dry, slightly sweet scent of the ancient wood, the dusty perfume of the dry earth beneath the trees, and the fresh, green, almost peppery scent of the leaves themselves. It is a scent that speaks of peace, of longevity, of a deep and abiding connection to the earth. The trees themselves are magnificent. They are not tall and straight, but gnarled and twisted, their trunks thick and muscular, their bark a deeply grooved and textured landscape of gray and silver. They look less like trees and more like ancient, living sculptures, carved and shaped by the patient, invisible hands of time, wind, and sun. Some of the trunks have split open with age, revealing a hollow, dark interior. Yet the tree continues to live, sending out new branches, new leaves, new fruit. They are masters of survival, symbols of resilience and peace. Their leaves are a unique color, a soft, dusty green on top and a shimmering, bright silver on the underside. As the gentle breeze moves through the grove, it turns the leaves over and over, creating a constant, mesmerizing dance of green and silver, a shimmering, rustling sea of light. You step off the path and walk between the ancient trunks. The ground here is soft, a carpet of dry leaves and fallen twigs that muffles your footsteps, deepening the sense of quiet. The light filters down through the dense canopy of leaves, creating a constantly shifting pattern of light and shadow on the ground. It is like being underwater, in a calm, green ocean of peace. You reach out and place your hand on the trunk of the oldest-looking tree. The bark is not smooth like the stone of the archway. It is a complex, rugged terrain of deep furrows and hard ridges. It feels ancient, powerful, and deeply alive. You can feel the slow, steady pulse of life deep within the wood, the patient, unhurried circulation of water and nutrients drawn up from the deep earth. You lean your shoulder against it, feeling its solid, unshakable strength. For a long while, you simply stand there, absorbing the atmosphere of the grove. This is a place that has been sheltered from the passage of time. While the world outside has changed beyond recognition, this grove has remained, following its own slow, seasonal rhythms. And you begin to imagine it again, not with a busy mind, but with a quiet, feeling sense. You can almost hear the low murmur of conversation as people sought this same shade on a hot afternoon, their voices blending with the rustling of the leaves. Perhaps a philosopher sat here with his students, his words not lectures, but quiet questions that hung in the still air. You can imagine the gentle, rhythmic sounds of the olive harvest, the soft thud of the fruit falling onto cloths spread out on the ground, the cheerful, muted calls of the workers, the sense of a community engaged in a timeless, life-giving ritual. These sounds are not a disturbance. They are a part of the grove's deep peace, the human rhythm harmonizing with the natural one. You find a spot at the base of the great tree where the roots have formed a natural, comfortable seat. You sit down, leaning your back against the rough, warm bark of the trunk. The tree supports you completely. You look up through the intricate lacework of branches and silvery green leaves and see small patches of the deep blue sky. The world is simplified to these three elements: the dark, solid earth beneath you, the shimmering leaves around you, and the endless sky above you. There is a feeling of perfect balance, of being held safely in the heart of the world. The gentle breeze continues to move through the leaves, a constant, soothing whisper. The patterns of light on the ground continue their slow, silent dance. Everything is in a state of gentle, perpetual motion. Yet the overwhelming feeling is one of profound stillness. This is a place of deep rest, a place where the soul can unfurl. The reflections that come to you here are not complex thoughts, but simple, deep feelings. A feeling of gratitude for things that endure. A sense of wonder at the beauty of things that grow slowly, that are shaped by adversity into forms of unique and profound character. A realization that peace is not an absence of life, but a harmonious blending of all its quiet, gentle rhythms. You feel your own small, human lifespan against the vast, patient life of this tree, and it is not a feeling that makes you feel insignificant, but rather connected. You are a fleeting part of this long, unbroken story, a temporary guest in this timeless, sacred space. The sun sinks lower still, and the light in the grove becomes even more magical. The golden shafts that pierce the canopy are now softer, more diffuse, filling the spaces between the trees with a luminous, honey-colored haze. The shadows grow longer, darker, and softer. The world is preparing for its rest. The whispering of the leaves seems to grow quieter, more intimate, a lullaby sung to the coming twilight. You close your eyes for a moment, and you focus only on the sounds, the scents, the feeling of the air, the rustle of the leaves, the scent of earth and wood, the cool, soft touch of the breeze on your face. You feel the ancient calm, and you breathe with it. Inhale the peace of the grove. Exhale the last vestiges of tension. Your mind becomes as clear and still as a pool of undisturbed water. And here, in the heart of the ancient olive grove, cradled by the earth and sheltered by the patient trees, you can rest. The image remains, ready to loop endlessly in your mind. The slow, silent dance of light and shadow on the ground. The eternal, gentle whisper of the silver leaves in the evening breeze. A timeless, perfect stillness. The journey to this point has been a shedding of layers. The archway was a threshold that separated the outer world from this inner sanctum. a conscious step into a different quality of time. The path was a meditation in motion, its gentle curve teaching a lesson in patience and presence, its worn surface a testament to the quiet power of simple, repeated actions. And now, this grove is the destination, a place not of arrival, but of being. It is a sanctuary for the senses, a haven for the weary mind. Each element has played its part in guiding you deeper into a state of tranquility. The light has been a constant companion, shifting from the bright gold of the laneway to the framed blue of the sky in the arch, to the dappled, shimmering silver green of the grove. The stone has offered its contrasting textures, the silken smoothness of the worn arch, the rough stability of the pathside rock, each a different conversation with your sense of touch. The wind has been the voice of the place, its whisper changing as it moved through different spaces, a constant, soothing presence. You think again of the hands that built the arch, the feet that wore the path, the people who rested in this very shade. The barrier between past and present feels porous here, almost non-existent. You are not just looking at a historical place, you are feeling the continuity of human experience that flows through it. The need for quiet, for beauty, for a place to rest and reflect, these are timeless needs. The people who came here centuries ago were moved by the same impulses that brought you here today. In this shared experience, there is a profound sense of connection, a feeling of belonging not just to a place, but to the long, unfolding story of humanity. The temperature continues to drop, almost imperceptibly, as the sun disappears behind the distant hills. The golden light has faded, replaced by a soft violet twilight that fills the sky. In the grove, the shadows merge and soften, the distinction between things beginning to blur. The shimmering of the leaves is less pronounced now, a more subtle, ghostly movement in the dimming light. The world is becoming a simpler, quieter composition of dark shapes and soft air. There is no sense of ending, only of a gentle transition into a different state of being. The day is not dying. It is simply yielding to the night just as the night will yield to the dawn. It is all part of the same endless, graceful cycle. You open your eyes again and look around the grove, now draped in the soft robes of twilight. The gnarled trunks of the olive trees seem to gather the darkness around them, becoming venerable, silent guardians of the encroaching night. A single, bright star appears in a patch of clear sky, visible through the leaves. Its light is crisp and ancient, a tiny silver pinprick in the deepening velvet above. It has traveled for an unimaginable time to reach your eye in this quiet moment. Its stillness speaks to the cosmic scale of time, a scale against which the life of the olive trees and your own life are but a brief and beautiful flicker. You do not feel the need to move. There is a deep comfort in remaining here, in being a quiet witness to this gentle transition. The world is slowing to a halt around you, and you are slowing with it. The narrative of the day is over. The striving, the doing, the thinking, all of it has been laid down. All that remains is this profound, peaceful, and simple state of being. The mind is quiet. The body is at rest. The spirit is calm. You are held in the embrace of this ancient place, a place that has offered its peace freely to all who have sought it. And as the last of the light fades, and the deep, silent peace of the night settles over the olive grove, your own breath is the softest of whispers, a quiet rhythm in harmony with the timeless stillness. The gentle movement of the leaves in the night air, the solid presence of the ancient tree at your back, the cool, fragrant air. This is the final looping image of peace, a feeling you can carry with you, a sanctuary you can return to in your mind whenever you need it. The threshold has been crossed, and you have found not a place, but a state of profound and gentle rest. You are resting in the deep, quiet dark of the olive grove, the memory of the day's golden light still a warmth behind your closed eyes. The night air is cool and soft on your skin, carrying the clean, dry scent of earth and the ancient perfume of the olive wood. You feel the solid presence of the great tree at your back, a silent, steadfast guardian through the slow-turning hours of the night. You have been breathing with the stillness of this place, your inner rhythm finding its echo in the gentle, ceaseless rustle of the silvery leaves. And as the first faint hint of dawn begins to dilute the darkness, turning the deep indigo of the sky to a soft, bruised purple, you feel a gentle stirring, a quiet invitation to continue your journey. You rise slowly, your movements measured and unhurried. The ground is cool beneath your feet, and the air holds the particular, damp chill that comes just before the sun returns. You leave the shelter of the ancient olive, giving a silent thanks for its offered peace, and you find a new path leading out of the grove, a way forward you had not noticed in the fading light of yesterday. This path is wider, its stones more deliberately placed, suggesting it was once a more traveled route, a gentle artery leading towards the heart of this forgotten place. As you take your first steps, the eastern horizon begins to glow with a soft, pearlescent light, and the world slowly emerges from shadow, its colors still muted, its forms soft and dreamlike. The new day breathes, and you breathe with it, a slow, deep inhalation of the cool morning air, and a long, soft exhalation that releases the last vestiges of sleep. You feel awake, yet perfectly calm, your senses heightened by the profound silence of the dawn. The path leads you gently downhill, and the olive grove gives way to a more open landscape. The air grows warmer as the sun climbs higher, burning away the morning mist and casting long, soft shadows across the land. The sounds of the new day are small and delicate, the chirping of a single unseen bird, the faint hum of an insect shaking off the night's chill. You walk on, your footsteps the only consistent rhythm, a soft crunching on the pale gravel that seems to measure out the growing silence. The path ends not at a gate, but simply opens out, like a river meeting the sea, into a vast, open space that takes your breath away. You have arrived at the agora. It is utterly empty, a great, sprawling square paved with massive rectangular flagstones of a pale, creamy limestone. They are cracked and weathered, tilted at odd angles where the patient earth has shifted beneath them. And in the spaces between them, resilient green moss and small, bright yellow wildflowers have taken root. The sheer scale of the emptiness is humbling. Your own presence feels small and fleeting against this backdrop of immense, silent space. Here and there, a few solitary columns still stand, stark and beautiful against the morning sky. They are fluted and graceful, but their capitals have long since crumbled away, and they stand now not as supports for a roof, but as lonely sentinels, silent witnesses to all that has passed. The foundations of old porticos and stoas trace faint geometric outlines on the ground, the ghosts of buildings that once enclosed this square, giving it shape and purpose. But now, that purpose is gone, and what remains is this profound and profoundly peaceful emptiness. You take a few steps out onto the great stone floor, and the acoustics of the world change. The sound of your footsteps is different here, a sharper, clearer echo against the flagstones. You pause in the center of the immense square and slowly turn, taking in the full panoramic view. The sun is higher now, and its light floods the space, warming the pale stone and making the tiny wildflowers in the cracks glow with an intense, vivid color. And in this vast, sunlit silence, you begin to listen, not with your ears, but with your imagination. You close your eyes, and you listen for the echoes held within the stones. At first, there is nothing, only the whisper of the wind as it sweeps across the open square. But you remain patient, and slowly, gently, a new sound begins to emerge from beneath the silence. It is the faintest of sounds, a ghost sound, the memory of footsteps. It is not the sound of a crowd, not a loud and clamorous marching, but a constant, soft, shuffling whisper. The sound of thousands upon thousands of leather sandals brushing against the stone day after day, year after year. It is the sound of a city's daily life. Its quiet, ceaseless motion. You can almost feel the faint vibration of it through the soles of your feet. The collective energy of a people long since turned to dust, their passage still imprinted on the air of this place. And then, another layer of sound begins to weave itself into this spectral tapestry. It is the murmur of voices. Again, it is not loud. There are no shouts or cries. It is the gentle, rising and falling hum of 1,000 quiet conversations. A low, continuous drone, like the sound of a distant beehive. You cannot distinguish any single word, but you can feel the texture of the sound. The low, resonant tones of merchants discussing their wares, the higher, more animated notes of friends greeting one another after a long absence, the soft, melodic cadence of a philosopher explaining a complex idea to a rapt student. It is the sound of community, the gentle, invisible fabric of human connection being woven in this shared public space. You can feel the warmth of it, the easy familiarity, the unspoken understanding that this place belonged to everyone, and everyone belonged in this place. You open your eyes and begin to walk slowly around the perimeter of the agora, your own footsteps now, a quiet counterpoint to the imagined symphony of the past. You pass by the low, stone foundations of what must have been market stalls. Here, you allow your other senses to join your imagination. You can almost see the vibrant colors that once filled this space. A feast for the eyes against the pale stone. Piles of rich crimson wool, dyed with madder root, and bolts of cloth, the deep, brilliant blue of the sea. You can almost smell the scents that would have mingled in the warm air. The sharp, earthy fragrance of herbs and spices laid out in wicker baskets. The sweet, heady perfume of honey and dried figs. The salty tang of olives curing in great clay jars, and the clean, comforting aroma of freshly baked bread. You can almost see the glint of the sun on simple, beautiful objects, the burnished bronze of a drinking cup, the gentle leaden sheen of pewter plates, the warm, lustrous glow of hand-thrown pottery, its surface painted with elegant, geometric designs. This was the heart of the city, not because of grand speeches or heroic monuments, but because of these simple, daily exchanges. This is where lives intersected, where news was shared, where bargains were struck, where friendships were forged. It was a place of commerce, yes, but it was also a place of being together. A farmer from the countryside would meet a sailor just returned from a long voyage, and they would exchange not just goods, but stories. A child would watch a craftsman at his work, her eyes wide with wonder. An old woman would sit on a stone bench, her face turned to the sun, simply observing the endless, gentle flow of life around her. There is a deep and quiet beauty in this vision of the mundane. It is a reminder that the most meaningful parts of life are often not the great dramatic events, but the small, repeated rituals of connection and community. The quiet dignity of a shared, simple human experience. As you continue your slow circumnavigation of the great square, you notice how the light and shadows are constantly changing. The shadow of a lone column stretches out like the gnomon of a massive sundial, its slow, sweeping movement marking the silent passage of the morning. You find a stone bench, set into what was once the wall of a portico. You sit, and you become a part of the scene you were just imagining. You become the quiet observer, the still point in the center of the gentle, flowing river of life. You sit in the warm sun, and you feel the immense peace of the empty square. The imagined sounds begin to fade now, receding gently, like a tide going out. The hum of voices and the shuffle of sandals dissolve back into the whisper of the wind. The silence returns, but it is a different silence now. It is not an empty silence, but a silence that is full of echoes, full of the rich and vibrant memory of life. You feel the warmth of the sun on the stone beneath you, a present and grounding sensation. You watch as a small green lizard darts out from a crack in the pavement, pauses for a moment in a patch of sunlight, its sides pulsing with life, and then vanishes as quickly as it appeared. The life that occupies this space now is smaller, quieter, but it is life nonetheless. As you prepare to move on, you feel a sense of gratitude for this silent communion, for this glimpse into the quiet heart of a community. The sun is climbing higher in the sky, its heat growing more intense, and you feel a pull to seek out the shade and the narrower, more intimate spaces that lie beyond the great open agora. You have felt the shared breath of the city. Now you are drawn to explore its smaller, more personal rhythms. On the far side of the agora, you find a narrow street leading away between the foundations of ancient buildings. Stepping into it is like stepping into another world. The vast, open expanse gives way to an intimate, enclosed space. The light is different here. The high walls, or what remains of them, cast deep, cool shadows. The sound of your footsteps changes again, becoming a softer, more muffled sound on the dusty earth of the laneway. The air is still and warm, and it seems to hold a different kind of memory, something more focused and specific. You are entering the artisan's quarter. The lane is lined with the ruins of what were clearly workshops. They are small, rectangular spaces, open to the sky now, their low stone walls like the outlines of rooms in a floor plan. You can see the remnants of hearths and kilns, their stones still blackened by ancient fires. You can feel a different kind of energy here, an energy of making, of creation, of quiet, focused work. This was not a place of idle chatter, but of skilled hands and concentrated minds. You walk slowly down the lane, peering into each of these roofless rooms, each one a small stage where the quiet drama of craft once unfolded. Your attention is drawn to one workshop in particular. It seems more preserved than the others. In one corner, there is a low circular stone platform, its surface worn smooth. You know, instinctively, that this is where the potter's wheel once stood. You step inside, your feet making a soft, crunching sound on a ground that seems to be made more of fine, reddish dust than of earth. You run your fingers along the top of the low wall, and they come away with a fine terracotta-colored powder. It is the dust of countless pots, both broken and whole, the elemental residue of a lifetime of creation. You stand in the center of the small space, and you allow the routine of the potter to reconstruct itself around you, not as a series of images, but as a rhythmic, lullaby-like sequence of sensations. You imagine the potter arriving in the cool of the morning, the first shafts of sunlight just beginning to slant into this narrow lane. You can almost hear the rhythmic, wet, slapping sound as he begins to wedge the clay, throwing the heavy gray mass down onto a wooden board again and again, folding it, pressing it, driving out any pockets of air. It is a physical, demanding rhythm, a dance between muscle and material, transforming the raw, chaotic earth into a smooth, pliable, and consistent medium. You can almost feel the coolness of the clay under your palms, its dense, heavy plasticity, the feeling of pure potential held within it. Then you imagine the central act of creation. A lump of the prepared clay is centered on the wheel. You can almost hear the soft, whirring sound as the heavy stone wheel begins to spin, powered by the steady, rhythmic kicking of the potter's foot. It is a hypnotic sound, a continuous, low hum that would have filled this small space for hours on end. And then, the magic. The feel of the wet clay, slick and cool, as the potter's steady hands embrace it. The gentle, firm pressure that encourages the spinning mass to rise, to hollow, to take form. You imagine watching that transformation as a shapeless lump of mud is drawn upwards into the elegant, symmetrical form of a vase, a bowl, or a simple cup. It is not an act of force, but of guidance. A quiet collaboration, a silent dialogue between the will of the artisan and the nature of the clay. The process is a meditation, a state of deep focus, where the outside world falls away, and there is only the spinning wheel, the cool clay, and the shaping hands. Your gaze drifts to the ground, scanning the reddish dust. And there, half buried, you see it. A single shard of broken pottery. You kneel down and carefully brush the dust away, lifting it from its resting place of centuries. You hold it in the palm of your hand. It is gently curved, a piece from the shoulder of a small vase or jug. It feels warm from the sun. You turn it over and over, exploring its textures. The outer surface is smooth, almost silky, covered in a fine black glaze that has lost its shine but not its deep, dark color. The inner surface is rougher, the raw, unglazed terracotta, retaining the faint, spiraling ridges left by the potter's fingers as he drew the clay upwards. You can feel the ghost of his touch, a direct, physical connection to the moment of its creation. And on the smooth, black outer surface, there are the faintest traces of a painted design, applied in a lighter slip that has worn away almost to nothing. You have to hold the shard at just the right angle to the light to see it. It is a simple, elegant pattern, a single, stylized olive leaf, and next to it, the beginning of a wave-like line. It is a design of incredible simplicity and grace. It was not a grand piece of art destined for a temple or a palace. It was a humble object, made for daily use, for holding wine or water or oil. And yet, its maker took the time to adorn it, to give it this small touch of beauty. There is a profound dignity in that. The quiet pride of the skilled hand, the innate human desire to make the useful beautiful. You hold this small fragment of a life's work, and you feel the weight not of its history, but of its humanity. This shard is a story. It speaks of the earth from which it was made, the fire that gave it strength, the hands that gave it form, and the person who used it in their daily life. All of that held in a small, curved piece of fired clay in your palm. You imagine the final stage of its life, the rows and rows of newly formed pale gray pots, drying slowly in the shade. And then, the heat of the kiln. You look over at the blackened stones of the small, beehive-shaped structure in the corner. You can almost feel the intense, radiating warmth that would have filled this entire lane when the kiln was fired. You can imagine the potter, his face lit by the orange glow from the peephole, watching and waiting through the long hours of the night, using his years of experience to judge the exact moment when the clay and the glaze would mature, transforming into a new, hard, and permanent substance. It was a process of irreversible transformation, an alchemy of earth and fire. You gently place the pottery shard back where you found it, covering it again with the fine reddish dust. It is not yours to take. It belongs here, a part of the story of this place. As you stand up and prepare to leave the potter's workshop, you carry with you not a physical object, but a feeling, a deep appreciation for the quiet, focused, and creative spirit of the artisan. The peace that can be found in a rhythmic, repetitive task. The simple beauty of a well-made thing. The quiet dignity of a life spent in the patient service of a craft. Leaving the potter's lane, you follow the faintest of traces, a shallow stone channel set into the center of the walkway. It is dry now, filled with dust and tiny pebbles, but you can easily imagine its original purpose: to carry away the runoff of water, the lifeblood of the potter's craft, or perhaps to guide the overflow from a nearby public fountain. The thought of water is a welcome one. The sun is now high in the sky and the day is growing hot. The air in the narrow lanes is still and warm, and the stones radiate a dry heat. You follow the course of the stone channel as the lane widens and then opens into a small, secluded courtyard. And there, built into the far wall, is the fountain house. It is a simple, elegant structure. 2 marble columns support a triangular pediment, framing a deep, cool-looking alcove. The roof is gone, and the interior is open to the bright blue sky. In the center of the back wall, a magnificent lion's head is carved from the stone, its mouth open, its expression one of serene and noble power. From its mouth, the water would have once flowed ceaselessly. Below it sits a large, semicircular basin of a single, massive piece of stone, its lip worn smooth and shiny from the countless jugs and hands that have rested upon it. The place is silent now. The lion's mouth is dry. The great basin is empty, save for a few brittle brown leaves that have drifted down into it. But the memory of water is so strong here that you can almost feel its presence. The air within the small enclosure is noticeably cooler and holds a faint mineral scent, the ghost of damp stone. You step inside, into the deep, refreshing shade. You close your eyes and you listen. You allow the imagined sound to fill the silence. It is one of the most beautiful and reassuring sounds in the world. The constant, clear, musical sound of fresh water, pouring from the lion's mouth and splashing into the basin below. It is a sound of life, of abundance, of coolness in the heat. It would have been the soundtrack to this small corner of the city, a constant, soothing presence, day and night. You imagine the people who would have gathered here. This was not just a place to get water. It was a social hub, a vital center of the neighborhood. You can see the women of the surrounding houses, arriving with their clay amphorae, their steps unhurried. They would greet each other, their voices a low and pleasant murmur against the music of the splashing water. They would share news, exchange gossip, offer comfort, and arrange the day's affairs while they waited their turn. You see children laughing and playing, splashing their hands in the cool overflow. You see a weary traveler cupping his hands to drink directly from the life-giving stream, the cool water, a balm to his parched throat. The fountain was a gift, a shared resource that bound the community together in the most fundamental way. It was a place of daily ritual, a point of connection, a source of both physical and social nourishment. And then, you let the imagined scene dissolve. You open your eyes and return to the pure, sensory reality of the present moment. The sound of the splashing water fades, replaced once again by the deep, profound silence. You walk over to the great stone basin and run your hand along its smooth, cool rim. The stone is solid and real beneath your touch, its coolness a deep, ancient cold that the sun has never fully conquered. You lean over and look inside. In the very bottom of the basin, in its deepest part, a tiny pool of water has collected from a recent rain shower. It is no more than a few inches across, a small liquid jewel in the bottom of the dusty bowl. You focus on this tiny detail. The water is perfectly still, and in its surface, it holds a perfect, clear, and upside-down reflection of the bright blue sky and the white clouds drifting across it. It is a tiny world, a miniature cosmos held in a hollow of stone. As you watch, a gentle puff of wind, which you hadn't even felt on your skin, makes its way down into the enclosure. It touches the surface of the tiny pool, and for a moment, the perfect reflection is shattered into 1,000 shimmering, dancing fragments of light. The sky ripples and breaks. And then, just as quickly, the breeze passes, the surface becomes still again, and the perfect, calm reflection of the sky reforms, as if nothing had ever disturbed it. You watch this small, quiet drama repeat itself. A breath of wind, a moment of shimmering chaos, and a return to perfect stillness. It is a meditation in itself, a reminder that even when the surface of our world or the surface of our mind is disturbed, the deep underlying calm is always there, waiting to reestablish itself. You notice a single, vibrant frond of green moss growing in a damp crevice just inside the lion's carved mouth. Life, tenacious and beautiful, finds a way to persist, nourished by the merest hint of moisture. You feel the deep and abiding peace of this place, a peace that comes from stillness, from coolness, from the memory of life-giving water. Here, in the shade of the silent fountain house, you find another resting point on your journey, and you find your breath again. You feel its gentle rhythm, like the breeze that ripples the tiny pool of water, a gentle disturbance, and a return to calm. The image stays with you, A perfect, loopable picture of tranquility, the still water, the reflected sky, and the gentle, silent breath that joins them all together. You are returning to the quiet coolness of the fountain house, the memory of its peace, and a tangible presence. The air within the shaded alcove remains still and refreshing, and the tiny pool of water in the basin still holds its perfect miniature reflection of the sky. The gentle breeze was its only disturbance, a soft breath that was causing the reflected world to shimmer and then settle over and over. This tiny, rhythmic transformation, this cycle of movement and stillness, feels like the heartbeat of this entire forgotten place. You feel its rhythm inside you, a deep and settled calm that you carry with you as you finally step out of the shade and back into the warmth of the high sun. You leave the small courtyard and find yourself on a pathway that feels different from the others. It is wider, paved with large, flat stones that speak of a more formal public purpose. It seems this was a processional way, a path designed not just for travel, but for thoughtful movement. As you walk, the character of the ruins around you begins to change. They are becoming grander, more monumental. The low walls of workshops and houses are giving way to the foundations of larger, more imposing structures. You are moving toward the intellectual and cultural heart of this place, where ideas were debated, stories were told, and knowledge was preserved. And you can feel the immense weight of the time that has passed since this heart last beat with human life. It is a weight that is not oppressive, but humbling, like the pressure of deep, still water. A slow tide of time has washed over everything here, erasing the sharp edges, softening the bold pronouncements, and leaving behind a beauty that is quieter, deeper, and perhaps more profound. The slow tide of time has washed over this place, and you find your breath matching its ancient, patient rhythm. The paved way leads you alongside the base of a long, high wall. Following it, you come to a corner and turn into a space that was once a magnificent open-air gallery. It is a stoa, a long, covered walkway, its roof long since vanished, but its essential form still clear. A row of stately columns, some still standing proud, others lying in great cylindrical sections like felled trees, would have supported the roof, creating a shaded promenade. But it is the long back wall that commands your attention. At first, it appears to be nothing more than weathered stone and crumbling, dun-colored plaster. It seems bare, stripped of all its former glory by the relentless sun and abrasive wind. But you pause, and you let your eyes adjust, just as they adjusted to the darkness in the olive grove. You look not at the wall, but into it, and slowly, as if a photograph were gently developing in a dark room, details begin to emerge from the blankness. You begin to see the ghosts of color, faint, spectral traces of pigment that have been absorbed deep into the plaster, their outer layers having been given back to the elements centuries ago. You step closer, your footsteps silent on the dusty ground. What was a formless, faded surface from a distance now resolves itself into a vast, complex tapestry of forgotten beauty. You can see where there were once great panels, depicting scenes of myth or history. The figures and actions are gone, their outlines dissolved, but the essence of their colors remains. You can trace a faint, soft area of dusky rose, the lingering memory of a painted robe. You can see a patch of earthy, warm ochre, perhaps the hide of a lion or the sun-baked soil of a battlefield. There is a deep, shadowy stain of what might have been a rich, royal purple, now just a soft, violet bruise on the ancient wall. The transformation has been happening for so long, a slow, geological process of fading and changing. The vibrant mineral pigments were constantly being broken down by sunlight, their brilliant hues slowly and gently drifting back towards their elemental state. You let your hand hover just over the surface, not touching, but feeling the faint warmth radiating from the plaster. You find one small section, protected from the worst of the weather by an overhanging ledge of stone, where the colors, are a little more vivid. Here, you can focus on this single micro detail, this small window into the past. The plaster itself is a network of fine, hairline cracks, like the pattern on a dry riverbed, each tiny canyon holding a deeper shadow. Upon this fractured surface, you can clearly make out a small patch of what was once a brilliant lapis lazuli blue. Even now, faded to the soft, gentle blue of a hazy summer sky, it holds a captivating depth. It might have been the sea in a heroic naval battle, or the celestial robe of a goddess. Next to it is the faintest whisper of cinnabar red, now a pale, delicate pink, like the inside of a seashell. You can almost feel the artist's hand, the deliberate brushstrokes that once gave these colors form and meaning. That hand was holding a story, a belief, a vision of the world, and was trying to make it permanent on this wall. The story was always being told, day after day, to those who walked here. You close your eyes and allow the imaginative layer to gently reconstruct the scene. You can almost feel the cool shade that the roof would have cast, a welcome respite from the brilliant hot sun. The columns are whole again, their white marble gleaming, and the wall behind you is alive with color, the paintings fresh and vibrant, their stories clear and powerful. Gods and heroes, great battles and solemn processions, all rendered in vivid, arresting detail. You can hear the soft murmur of voices, the rustle of robes, and the thoughtful cadence of conversation. Philosophers were walking this very path, their discussions on the nature of virtue and the meaning of life, perhaps inspired or challenged by the epic scenes unfolding on the wall beside them. Citizens would meet here, their talk of politics and daily affairs taking place against a backdrop of shared cultural myths. The paintings were not just decoration. They were a living part of the city's consciousness, a constant visual reminder of its history, its values, and its place in the cosmos. And now, you open your eyes and let that vivid reconstruction dissolve, like the pigments themselves, back into the present reality. You see the transformation not as a loss, but as a profound and beautiful change in meaning. The seasonal cycles of sun and rain, the slow tides of hot days and cool nights, were all acting as a new kind of artist, patiently working on this canvas for centuries. The sun was not destroying the paintings. It was slowly drinking their color, drawing the vibrancy out of the plaster and into the light itself. The rain was not washing the images away. It was gently bathing them, blurring their sharp lines, encouraging them to merge and soften, creating new, abstract compositions of subtle and unexpected beauty. The Stoa no longer tells the specific stories of gods and heroes. It now tells the much grander, more universal story of time itself. Its beauty is no longer in its narrative clarity, but in its ambiguity, its imperfection, its gentle and graceful surrender to the elements. It is a lesson in letting go, a testament to the fact that meaning is not a fixed thing, but something that is constantly being transformed, weathered, and reborn in a new form. You stand there for a long time, simply looking, your mind quiet, absorbing the deep, silent poetry of this faded wall. It is a beauty that asks nothing of you but your quiet attention, and in return, it offers a profound sense of peace, an acceptance of the slow, inevitable, and beautiful processes of change. You follow the line of the colonnade to its end, where the painted stoa once connected to a large, dignified building. Its walls, though roofless, are still impressively high. You find the main entrance, a grand rectangular opening, and you step across its stone threshold. You expect to find a paved floor, the interior of a great hall. Instead, you find yourself stepping into a wild, enclosed garden. You have entered what was once the city's great library, and it has undergone the most beautiful transformation of all. The first thing that strikes you is the scent. It is the rich, complex, and intoxicating perfume of life, both growing and decaying, in a sheltered, sun-warmed space. There is the deep, loamy fragrance of damp, fertile earth, a scent that speaks of nourishment and hidden, subterranean processes. Woven into this is the sweet, heady perfume of wild jasmine, its white, star-like flowers tumbling in a cascade down one of the high stone walls. You can smell the spicy, floral scent of untamed roses, their thorny branches tangled in thickets in the corners. And underneath it all, there is the sharp, green, slightly peppery scent of ivy, which seems to cover everything. It is the scent of nature, uncontrolled and exuberant, joyfully reclaiming a space that was once dedicated to the most structured and controlled of human endeavors, the ordering of knowledge. Your eyes slowly take in the scene. The four high walls of the library now act as the perfect frame, a man-made container for a wild and chaotic masterpiece of nature. Where there were once polished floors, there is now a carpet of soft green moss and a tangle of wildflowers. Along the inner walls, you can still see the rows of deep, rectangular niches, the armaria, where hundreds, perhaps thousands of papyrus scrolls were once neatly stored. Now, these stone shelves are home to ferns, their delicate fronds uncurling in the shade. Thick, woody vines are crawling in and out of the cubbyholes, their tendrils exploring the empty spaces where human knowledge once rested. In the very center of the great room, where a master reading table might have stood, a magnificent wild fig tree has taken root. Its roots have buckled the last of the floor stones, and its smooth gray branches reach up towards the open sky, its broad, green leaves creating a canopy of cool, dappled shade. You wander deeper into this library of leaves. You reach out and touch the different textures, the velvety softness of the moss growing on a stone shelf, the cool, waxy surface of a large ivy leaf, the rough, satisfying bark of the fig tree. You find a place to sit on a low, collapsed wall, and you let the past and present merge. You imagine this place as it once was. The atmosphere would have been one of hushed and reverent quiet. The air would have smelled of dry papyrus, cedarwood oil used to preserve the scrolls, and perhaps the faint scent of oil lamps. The only sounds would have been the soft whisper of a scroll being unrolled, the quiet footsteps of a scholar on the stone floor, the distant murmur of voices from the stoa outside. It was a sanctuary of the intellect, a place where the human mind was attempting to gather, organize, and preserve all that it had learned about the world. Each scroll in its niche was a carefully constructed piece of order, a linear argument, a story with a beginning and an end, a bulwark against the chaos of the unknown. And now, you look around you, and you see that the library is still a library. Its function has not been lost. It has been transformed. The knowledge it contains is no longer written in ink on fragile scrolls. It is written in the living language of plants, in the complex, interwoven syntax of an ecosystem. This place is now a library of botany, of entomology, of the slow, patient cycles of growth and decay. The human attempt to create order has been gently and lovingly absorbed by the deeper, more ancient, and far more complex order of the natural world. The vine exploring the empty scroll niche is telling a story about persistence and adaptation. The fig tree in the center is a lesson in the power of a single seed and the patient, irresistible force of life. The moss on the floor is a testament to the beauty that can be found in shade and dampness in the overlooked corners of the world. This is not the death of a library. It is its glorious rebirth into a new and living form. The collected thoughts of humanity, once stored here, have long since turned to dust, their fragile medium unable to withstand the slow tide of time. But the knowledge held in this wild garden is renewed every season, its truths self-evident in every new leaf and every opening flower. The meaning of this space was constantly being rewritten, the old texts fading, the new, green shoots emerging. You feel a profound sense of peace in this realization. The world's wisdom is not contained only in books. It is here, in the resilience of a weed, in the intricate design of a flower, in the silent, steady growth of a tree. You stay for a long time in the shade of the fig tree, breathing in the rich, fragrant air of the library garden. You feel as though you are a reader in this new library, absorbing its lessons not with your intellect, but with your entire being. The stillness deepens, and your breath follows, calm and quiet. There is no need to strive for understanding here. The wisdom of this place enters you as gently and as naturally as the scent of the jasmine, a quiet knowing that settles deep within you. Eventually, you find a small, overgrown archway in the back wall of the library garden. A faint path leads through it, a dark tunnel through a thicket of tangled roses. You follow it, the branches gently tugging at your clothes, and the path begins to climb. You are walking up a natural slope, the hillside on which this part of the city was built. The path is steep in places, and you use your hands to steady yourself on outcroppings of rock and exposed tree roots. After a short climb, you emerge from the thicket and find yourself blinking in the bright, open sunlight, standing at the very top of a vast, silent, open-air theater. The sight is breathtaking. Carved directly into the curving bowl of the hillside are dozens of concentric, semicircular tiers of stone seats, the theatron. They sweep down in a graceful, majestic curve to a flat, circular area at the bottom, the stage or orchestra. Beyond the stage are the ruined foundations of the stage building, the skene, its broken walls framing a spectacular, panoramic view of the rolling hills and the distant, shimmering sea. The sheer scale of it, the mathematical perfection of its curves, the way it settles so naturally into the landscape, it is a work of profound architectural genius, and it is completely empty. You feel a sense of immense, silent space. You are the sole audience member in this grand and magnificent venue. You begin to walk slowly down one of the steep stairways that divide the tiers of seating, your steps echoing in the vast acoustic space. You find a seat for yourself, about halfway down, in the very center. You sit on the stone, which is warm from the sun. From here, you have the perfect view. You are looking at the world through the frame of the theater. You allow your imagination to fill the empty seats around you. You can almost feel the press of the crowd, a sea of thousands of faces, all turned with rapt attention towards the stage below. You can feel the electric hum of anticipation that would have filled the air just before a performance began. And then, you imagine the sound, the powerful, resonant voices of the actors declaiming the immortal lines of a great tragedy, the chanting of the chorus, their voices rising and falling in unison, a wave of sound that would have washed over the entire audience. The acoustics of the space are so perfect that even a whisper from the stage could have been heard in the very top row. You can almost feel the collective catharsis of the audience, the shared experience of pity and fear, of sorrow and wonder, as the great human dramas unfolded on the stage. For a few hours, this entire community would be united, breathing as one, their hearts beating to the rhythm of the poetry. And then, just as you did in the Stoa and the library, you let the vision fade, the crowd dissolves, the voices fall silent. The electric energy dissipates, leaving only the warm sun and the still, silent stones. You return to the present moment, to the theater in its transformed state. And for a long time, you simply sit, with no thought for the past, no imaginative reconstructions. You become purely a sensory being. You feel the solid, dependable weight of the stone seat beneath you. You feel the warmth of the sun on your face and your arms. You watch a single, white cloud drift slowly across the vast, blue expanse of the sky above. You are completely present, a quiet, still point in this immense and silent space. And you listen. You listen to what the theater has to listen to now. The only sound is the wind. It is the only performer left on this ancient stage. And it is a masterful performer. You can hear it as a low, gentle whisper, as it sweeps across the upper tiers of seating. You can hear it sigh as it funnels through the gaps in the ruined stage building. When it gusts a little stronger, it creates a deep, low, humming or moaning sound as it passes over the hollow, circular orchestra, as if the theater itself is breathing. The sound is constantly changing, a subtle, elemental music that has no beginning and no end. This, you realize, is the theater's new purpose. It is no longer a stage for human stories, which are so often full of conflict and sorrow. It has been transformed into a grand musical instrument, played by the invisible elemental hand of the wind. It is a vessel for stillness, a great stone cup designed to catch and amplify the sound of silence. Its performance is for an audience of one or for no audience at all. Its drama is the slow passage of the sun, the drifting of the clouds, the changing of the seasons. It is a shift in meaning from the human to the cosmic, from the specific to the universal. And in this great, silent space, listening to the lonely, beautiful voice of the wind, you feel a sense of peace that is as vast and as deep as the theater itself. You feel the ancient calm, and you breathe with it. Your own breath is a quiet echo of the wind's sigh, a small, personal rhythm that is part of this immense, elemental music. The performance will go on forever, a timeless, loopable image of stillness and gentle, transformed sound. You are returning to the vast, silent theater, this great stone vessel carved into the living hillside. The sun is warm on the tiered seats where you sit, and the wind, the theater's only performer, continues its timeless, sighing soliloquy across the empty stage. You have listened to its ancient, elemental music, a sound that speaks of both presence and absence, of the great, enduring emptiness that now holds the memory of so much life and sound. You have felt the slow transformation of this place, from a stage for human drama to a grand instrument for the elements themselves. And now, you feel a gentle, final pull, an invitation to continue not to another place of human making, but to the very summit of this land, to a place of pure earth and sky. You rise from the warm stone seat, your movements slow and deliberate, and you make your way up the steep stairway to the highest row of the theater. Here, at the very back, where the carved stone gives way to the natural hillside, you find a faint track leading upwards. It is not a path of gravel or paving stones, but a simple, winding trail, worn into the earth and rock by the passage of goats and the flow of rainwater. It is the most ancient kind of path, the kind that follows the natural contours of the land, and it invites you on the final leg of your journey. The ascent begins gently, winding through clumps of tough, fragrant herbs and low, thorny bushes. The air is warm and still, and the only sounds are the soft crunch of your footsteps and the low hum of insects in the afternoon sun. The path grows steeper, and soon you are moving beyond the last of the soil and onto the exposed, sun-drenched bedrock of the hilltop itself. The climb becomes more physical now, a slow and mindful scramble. You place your hands on the rock to steady yourself, and you can feel its texture in intimate detail. It is a rough, grainy surface, a landscape in miniature of tiny peaks and valleys. Yet it is also warm, holding the accumulated heat of the long summer day like a living thing. You can feel the immense, geological age of this stone beneath your palms, the silent, compressed memory of millennia. This rock was here, silent and patient, long before the city was ever dreamed of, and it remains silent and patient long after the city has fallen into memory. Your breath and your footsteps find a single, steady rhythm, the in-breath matching the lifting of a foot, the out-breath matching its secure placement on the rock above. It is a moving meditation, a slow, patient climb that requires your full and gentle attention. With every upward step, the world below you expands and transforms. The ruins you have explored begin to lay themselves out like a map. You can see the perfect, semicircular embrace of the theater falling away beneath you. Beyond it, you can just make out the green, wild rectangle of the library garden and the long, faint line of the faded stoa. Further still, The great, pale, open square of the agora is visible, a silent, sun-bleached stage. Each place you have rested, each threshold you have crossed, is now a part of a larger, interconnected whole. From this height, you can see not just the places themselves, but the pathways of stillness that connect them. And as you climb higher still, the details begin to soften, the individual ruins merging into a single, beautiful, intricate pattern of stone and shadow, a quiet testament to a vanished world now held in the gentle, green embrace of the enduring landscape. Finally, the path levels out, and you take the last step onto the summit. You have arrived. You are standing on a small, flattened plateau of bare, windswept rock at the highest point of the land for miles around. There is a single, twisted, ancient pine tree growing from a deep fissure in the stone, its dark green branches shaped by the constant persuasion of the wind. The view from here is immense, a complete and breathtaking panorama in every direction. Below you lies the forgotten city, a silent mosaic of memory. Beyond, the rolling landscape unfolds, a tapestry of silvery olive groves, dark green cypress stands, and fields, the color of pale gold. And in the far, hazy distance, you can see the deep, impossible blue of the sea, a flat, calm line where the earth meets the endless sky. The world feels vast and open and profoundly peaceful from this high, quiet vantage point. You find a smooth, comfortable place on the rock, a natural seat worn by the elements, and you settle in to simply watch, to be a quiet witness to the day's gentle and glorious conclusion. The sun is beginning its slow descent towards the distant horizon, and the quality of the light is beginning to change. This is the beginning of the great transformation of the evening, a slow, majestic, and silent performance. The clear, white light of midday has softened into a liquid, golden glow that is pouring across the landscape. Every rock, every tree, every ruined wall is bathed in this warm, honeyed light. The shadows, which had been short and sharp, are now stretching out, becoming long, soft, dark blue rivers that flow from every object, revealing the shape and texture of the land in a new and dramatic way. You watch as the golden light deepens into a rich, warm amber, and then begins to blush with the first hints of orange and pink. The sky above you is still a pale and luminous blue, but the sky to the west, where the sun is falling, is becoming a canvas for the most incredible display of color. The clouds that had been simple, white puffs are now catching the low-angled light, their undersides glowing with fiery orange and brilliant magenta. The colors are constantly shifting, blending and deepening, a silent celestial symphony. And this light does not just exist in the sky, it is painting the entire world. The distant sea is no longer blue, but a shimmering sheet of molten gold. The pale stones of the ruins below are now glowing with a warm, rosy pink, as if they are blushing in the final embrace of the day. Your gaze settles on a small detail in the rock beside you. A single crystalline vein of quartz is embedded in the darker stone, and as the last direct rays of the sun strike it, it catches the light and fractures it into 1,000 tiny, brilliant points of color. For a fleeting moment, you see a perfect, miniature rainbow trapped in the rock, a secret, hidden jewel revealed by the dying light. It is a moment of pure, unexpected magic, a reminder of the infinite beauty that can be found in the smallest of things, if only we take the time to look. And then, the moment comes. The fiery orb of the sun touches the horizon. It seems to pause there for a final, breathtaking moment, and then it slips away. It sinks below the edge of the world, and with its departure, the landscape undergoes another profound shift. The first and most noticeable change is the temperature. You can feel the warmth of the day leaving the stone beneath you, a slow, radiating sigh. The air on your skin, which had been warm, now carries the first, distinct touch of evening coolness, And the second change is the silence. In the moment just after the sun has vanished, a deep and resonant hush seems to fall over the entire world. The insects' hum ceases. The breeze seems to hold its breath. It is a sacred pause, a moment of perfect equilibrium between the day that has gone and the night that is coming. And here, in this vast and silent space, you feel your breath deepen, slowing to match the grand, unhurried rhythm of the cosmos. Now begins the most magical time of all, the long, slow, gentle descent of twilight. The fiery colors of the sunset begin to fade, not into darkness, but into a series of soft, ethereal pastel hues. The brilliant crimson and orange give way to delicate shades of rose and lavender, which in turn slowly dissolve into a deep and luminous indigo that fills the eastern sky. The world is being draped in a soft violet veil. All the sharp edges of the landscape are softening, the details blurring. The ruins below are losing their distinct forms, becoming a mysterious, dark pattern against the fading light of the earth. It is a time of quiet mystery, a time when the world seems to reveal its soul. As your sense of sight is diminished, your other senses become more acute. The silence that fell at sunset is now slowly being populated by the first sounds of the night. You hear the gentle, rhythmic, and strangely comforting chirp of a single cricket, its lonely song stitching the quiet fabric of the twilight. From a distant grove, you hear the soft, two-note call of a small owl, a questioning, melodic sound that hangs in the still air. The wind is also changing. The warm, upward-flowing breeze of the day has died down completely, and it is being replaced by a cooler, heavier air that is flowing down from the hilltops into the valleys. You can feel this new, cool current on your face and your hands, a clean, refreshing touch that smells of cool rock and distant dew-dampened earth. The world is letting go of the day, and you feel your own mind letting go with it. You breathe in the cool, violet air, and as you exhale, you release the last thoughts, the last concerns, the last vestiges of the world you left behind. You are becoming a part of this landscape, a part of this gentle and profound transition. And as the last of the light drains from the western sky, the final and greatest revelation begins. In the deep, velvety indigo dome above you, a single point of light appears, a tiny, brilliant diamond on a dark cloth. You watch it, and as your eyes adjust to the growing darkness, another appears, and then another. First there are 3, then a dozen, then 100, and then, all at once, the entire, breathtaking celestial sphere is revealed. The sky is so clear, so far from the glare of any modern city, that the sheer number of stars is overwhelming. They are not just scattered points of light, but a thick, shimmering silver dust that has been cast across the heavens. You can see the great, luminous river of the Milky Way flowing directly overhead, a soft, milky band of light that is composed of a billion suns too distant to be seen individually. The darkness between the stars is not a flat black, but a deep, resonant, and living blackness that gives the stars their brilliant, piercing intensity. A little while later, a soft, silvery light begins to glow on the eastern horizon, and slowly, gracefully, the moon begins to rise. It is a perfect silver crescent, and its cool, gentle light spills across the landscape, giving it a new and ghostly beauty. The ancient stones of the hilltop around you are now bathed in this ethereal silver glow, their rough textures softened, their forms imbued with a dreamlike quality. The world has been completely transformed, remade in silver and shadow. You lie back now, finding a large, flat slab of rock that is still holding a faint, residual warmth from the day. You rest your head, and your view is filled completely with the immense, star-dusted dome of the night sky. And here, in this position of complete surrender, the final boundary begins to dissolve. You are no longer just an observer, looking up at the sky. You feel the reality of your situation. You are a passenger on a small, rocky planet, turning slowly and silently through an immense and silent cosmos. The cool, solid stone beneath you is the very body of the earth, holding you, supporting you. The cool, gentle air on your skin is the thin, precious veil of the atmosphere, the ocean of air in which you live and breathe. And the ancient light from the stars above is traveling for thousands, even millions of years, to land on your retina in this single, perfect, present moment. Time and space seem to collapse. The light from that star began its journey when this city below you was a vibrant, living community. Another began its journey before this hill itself had been pushed up from the ancient seabed. You are connected, in this moment, to the entire, vast, and incomprehensible story of the universe. You are no longer separate. Your own quiet stillness becomes a part of the vast, peaceful stillness of the cosmos. You are a tiny point of awareness, held safely in an infinite and silent peace. The stillness deepens, and your breath follows. You breathe in the cool, clean night air, and you breathe out, releasing yourself into the vastness. The ancient rock holds you. The cool air bathes you. The silent stars watch over you. There is nothing to do. There is nowhere to be. There is only this perfect, timeless stillness. And as the earth continues its slow, silent turning, you feel your own consciousness gently drifting, becoming one with the deep, dark, peaceful space between the stars. You feel the ancient calm, and you breathe with it, in and out. A quiet rhythm in harmony with the silent, endless, and beautiful turning of the universe. The image remains looping endlessly, the cool stone beneath you, the gentle night breeze on your skin, and the silent, peaceful procession of the stars across the deep, dark, and quiet sky.